From a hero humpback whale to a baby-saving cat, here are 10 of the most incredible times that animals saved human lives. Number 10. Whale Saviour. Marine biologist Nan Hauser was swimming off the coast of the Cook Islands when out of nowhere she found herself being lifted out of the ocean on top of a humpback whale's huge head. It was a 10-minute battle in which the marine biologist was nudged, bumped with the whale's belly, and swiped with its huge pectoral fins. After spending 28 years underwater with whales, she had never experienced a whale so adamant about keeping a human so close to it. This was actually a bit dangerous, as the whale was so powerful that if it had bumped her a little too hard with its flipper or tail, it very easily could have shattered her bones or even burst her organs. And if she had been held under its pectoral fin for too long, she would have easily drowned. During this entire encounter, she had no idea what was going on. It wasn't until afterwards that she realised that on the other side of the humpback whale was a huge tiger shark. It was only after reviewing the encounter on video that the marine biologist realised that the whale had been trying to keep her safe from the deadly shark. And this isn't the first time that a humpback whale has come to the rescue. A humpback whale in 2009 was caught on camera shielding a lonely seal from a crew of mean killer whales. According to Live Science, this could have something to do with the whale's natural instincts to protect its own calves. It also might have something to do with the fact that humpbacks and orcas are mortal enemies. Number 9. Angel Dog. The particulars about how a dog managed to save a boy from certain death is something amazing. This incident unfolded in Canada when a golden retriever saved her owner from being mauled to death by a deadly cougar in the backyard of their home. This happened in Boston Bar, roughly 130 miles from Vancouver. As reported by CNN, the dog, whose name just so happens to be Angel, was only 18 months old when she leapt into action and saved her boy owner from the rampaging cougar that was charging at him for the kill. Of course, this is just one of those things you have to deal with when you live in British Columbia. The boy had been outside with his dog around 5:30 that night to gather some firewood from the backyard when the attack occurred. This goes to prove that even at such a young age, a dog can't help but protect its owner at all costs. The dog intercepted the cougar. The two animals got into a fight underneath the deck of the house, and luckily there was an officer in the area who responded to the family's panicked 911 call and was able to save the dog from the cougar. Even after sustaining some pretty bad injuries, including bites and scratches, Angel the golden retriever went on to make a full recovery. This is just more proof that dogs truly are man's best friend. Has your dog ever protected you? Let me know your dog stories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 8. Attacked by lions. Saving a person from one small cougar is definitely commendable, but check out this next dog that saved the life of a shepherd after he was attacked by a group of 3 lions in Gujarat, India. According to the story from India Today, the shepherd was on the outskirts of his village, tending to his sheep, when the 3 lions appeared from the wilderness and decided he looked like a yummy snack. Luckily, this guy had his loyal companion dog with him, and the dog actually managed to save his life. Although, it was kind of the shepherd's fault. He had actually tried to stop the lions from getting too close to his sheep, and that was when they turned their attention to him. But even after the lions set their sights on him, the guy walked away with just a couple of scrapes on his arm. And as for the dog, it was completely fine. All the dog had needed to do was bark its heart out to distract the lions and to alert the other local townspeople. The dog's barking drew a huge crowd of spectators. The 3 lions got too nervous to continue their attack on the defenseless shepherd and his flock, and in the end everyone was okay, and the lions would live to terrorize another day. Number 7. Dolphins saving dogs. We're going to flip the script for the next one. Rather than a dog saving a human, let's talk about a couple of dolphins that recently saved a dog from a certain underwater doom. A Doberman named Turbo recently got into some trouble when he became stranded in the waters off of Marco Island in South Florida. According to Turbo's owner, he had somehow gotten out of the yard and escaped on a Sunday night. He wasn't found until Monday afternoon, almost drowning in a nearby canal. The dog may have been in the water for as long as 15 hours, and if it hadn't been for the help of 2 curious dolphins keeping the dog safe, he almost certainly would have drowned. There was no way that Turbo could have tread water for 15 hours, and he simply couldn't get out of the canal because he was stuck. The dolphins held him upright, they kept him from slipping under the water and drowning, and finally when someone came across the scene on Monday afternoon, they were able to wade into the canal and rescue the dog, with the help of 2 generous dolphins of course. Thankfully, Turbo made a full recovery, and the dolphins were hailed as local heroes. Number 6. Cat saves baby. Dogs aren't the only animals that can be heroes, cats can too. Check out this cat named Gatabella, who recently saved the life of a baby. The incident was even caught on security video and uploaded online. In the video, you can see the toddler somehow got out of its crib and was crawling towards a dangerous flight of stairs. The cat had been resting peacefully on the couch, but when it saw the kid moving towards danger, it leapt into action. The cat actually lashed itself onto the child, maneuvering the baby in such a way that it ended up crawling away from the stairs and back into the center of the room. But here's the deal. It's hard to say if the cat saved the baby on purpose or just inadvertently. It could be that the cat simply wanted to play with the child, so when the cat saw the baby moving across the room, it thought it would be a good time to pounce. Then again, its benevolent cat instincts could very well have kicked in, and that could be why it saved the day. Number 5. The gorilla and the baby. At a zoo in Illinois, a female gorilla was declared a hero after she carried a young child who fell into her enclosure all the way to safety. According to ABC News, the child slipped away from his mother, managed to wriggle through the barrier at the Western Lowland Gorilla Pit, and then fell right in with the giant gorillas. But rather than being ripped apart, he ended up being saved. The kid fell in front of Binti Joa, an 8-year-old lady gorilla. She picked him up gently around the waist and carried him to a nearby door where rescuers were already prepared to rush in and save the child. This is extraordinary because there were 6 other gorillas living inside the exhibit at the time, and if it hadn't been for Binti's quick thinking, one of the other gorillas could have done some serious damage to the child. The gorilla even had her own baby on her back during the entire encounter, highlighting her maternal instincts to protect the child, even if it wasn't hers or even part of her own species. The boy actually suffered some pretty bad injuries from the fall. He had a broken hand, cuts all over his face, and he had to spend 4 days in recovery at the hospital. What's even more amazing is that this happened in 1996, and all these years later the heroic gorilla is still living at the Brookfield Zoo. She's now almost 30 years old with her own grandchildren. Number 4. Piglets the hero. Pigs are heroes too. A heroic pig named Lucky recently saved the life of her owner and her owner's 2 grandchildren after a raging fire began to consume their mobile home early on a Sunday morning. According to the report in Time magazine, Lucky began squealing just after 4:30 a.m. Ina Fowler knew something was wrong immediately, as Lucky usually waited until the morning to wake up the family. Not only was the pig screaming, but he was jumping up and down, running to the door and then back to the bed, and ramming into Ina extremely hard. The pig was panicking because the mobile home was filled with smoke and slowly burning down. If it hadn't been for the swift actions of this pet pig, the entire family probably would have been consumed by the flames. And even though the fire was so out of control that the mobile home and all their belongings within were burned up, at least the family and their beloved pig went on to live another day. Number 3. Cow defends honor. A cow recently showed more humanity than 2 despicable men when it came to the rescue of a woman being stabbed to death. It's not clear exactly where this happened, but the video was posted by the New York Post online, and they claimed that the men had been stabbing the young girl to death, all because she had committed the crime of eloping with a man without first getting their permission. Pay for her elopement, the men, her uncle and father, decided to murder the girl. But in the middle of committing this horrific act, a cow came to the girl's rescue. The cow trampled them, stepped on their faces, and tried to subdue them, and in doing so proved itself to be more human than the supposed men it was attacking. Unfortunately, the girl's life wasn't actually saved, but at least the cow showed us just how much more compassionate animals can be than those of our own species. So far as we know, the 2 men were forced to go on the run after the incident was captured on film. Number 2. The family goat. When a 10-year-old girl named Abigail from Arkansas was given a goat for her birthday, her father was not particularly excited. The girl's father told Inside Edition that he didn't approve of the goat at first. However, after the goat saved the entire family from certain doom, the father changed his tune. Abigail named her goat Speedy, and Speedy turned out to be a real lifesaver just 2 days after becoming part of the family. Abigail was asleep in the living room at home with her goat on a Saturday when Speedy suddenly woke her up and began jumping on her legs and chest, almost as if it was trying to pummel her to death. But actually, the goat had been trying to warn Abigail that the house was on fire. It took the girl a minute to wake up, but once she did, she realized that the entire house was filled with smoke. There was fire pouring in through the windows. As it turned out, the garage had somehow caught fire. But thanks to the quick thinking and bravery of the goat, Abigail was able to wake the rest of her family, and everyone escaped through a bedroom window. The fire department showed up a few minutes later and put out the fire, But just like the case we talked about before with the hero pig, everything they owned was destroyed. Of course, they still had their lives, and that was something that they could thank Speedy the goat for. Number 1. Dog to the rescue. A man recently got a second chance at life all thanks to his loyal dog. A German shepherd named Sadie has recently been declared a hero after saving her owner from a heart attack. Sadie was originally surrendered to an animal refuge centre in New Jersey after her owner had been forced to give her up. Just a few months later, a man named Brian adopted her. Brian claimed to feel a special bond with Sadie, and the two of them hit it off right away. Shortly after taking Sadie home, Brian suffered a stroke. But Sadie was there to rescue his life. She actually dragged Brian across the room to where his cell phone was so that he could pick up the phone and call for help. If it hadn't been for Sadie and her amazing intelligence, Brian may have died right there and then on the floor. Then, after Brian called the police for assistance, his dog stayed with him the entire time, licking his face and keeping him awake. Even cuter is that Sadie was forced to stay with family while Brian recovered, but the two of them used FaceTime every night to stay in contact. Thanks for watching. Aren't animals amazing? Have you ever been saved by your pet? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. How far would you go to save your pet? Would you give up the tip of your pinky if it could save your pet?